So what do we got for our housing provider tip of the week?
All right. So, this came to me really along the lines of something you and me were working on, Tom. You're working with a buyer that bought a property and he is under contract, and part of that contract terms, the seller is putting a tenant in there, and they sent over some information on the application. But it got me thinking, when you're screening tenants, this seems obvious, but when you really think about it, tenants really only put their best foot forward. And it's really a lot of times they leave the gaps for you to assume or fill in or miss altogether. So when you are underwriting, it always, when you are putting it out there to market even, and you're requesting people to have fill out an application, make sure you have a specific list of what you're looking for. Know what you're looking for when you're underwriting before you get to the application process. And then when they're not sending everything, or they're not sending everything of a particular item, maybe you're asking for 2 years worth of rental receipts, but they're only giving you one. I always question that. Don't assume that because 1 year was good, they just totally didn't follow your instructions for the second year. So take that as a red flag, and make sure you keep digging in to make sure whoever's applying is meeting all your requirements, and they're not just sending over what makes them look best and kind of leaving out some of the stuff that could jade their applications up. So screening's big. I always tell people screening controls the rest of the next year or two. So keep that in mind when you're screening.
Mark, along those lines, how much of an emphasis do you put on when there is an issue, right? Missed payment, rough time, medical bills, when they proactively tell you that? Yes, I will submit everything. Note that in 2019, this event happened to me, as opposed to seeing it and then having to go back and question them. If they proactively bring that up, do you put any emphasis on that, or is it still at the end of the day, the data is the data?
I think at the end of the day, the data is the data. I think it always does. There's no really way to score that in the sense, but as the human to human, I think there is value in, hey, I got divorced. So between 2017 and 19, it's going to be all jacked up. And so one of our requirements for application is, if you do have something messed up, provide a letter of explanation. So that's where they would disclose that and give a quick explanation. And those things are pretty, the funny thing is sometimes you'll see people that they had a divorce 2017, 19, they disclose that, but they're jacked up for the 5 to 10 years before that already. It's like, all right, that's great. That's for that part. But those are the things people are talking about that there, but they're not explaining the previous 10 years of why they were late 7 times.